It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, it's Rusty. What's up, everyone? It is Friday at 1 o'clock here on the East Coast of the USA. I am your host, Rusty Diamond. I have some monikers, but they're not going on here today. I'm just Rusty Diamond today. So, thank you, everyone, for being here and checking out the podcast, the public access podcast here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. Check out other shows on the network. Thank you to our sponsors. I'll list all that later, probably. If not, just go to the other shows. You'll figure it out. It's cool. And you guys call in, leave a message. I'll play it on the air. Call in, be like, hey, I like leaving messages. That's fun. It's a lot of fun. And maybe you don't like leaving messages and you just think, I don't like it.
Messages? Messages? We don't need no stinking messages!
I need messages 503-974-6420. And today I have some guests. I have two special guests because one's not enough for today. And one of them's been on before. One of them is a return guest. So that's a good thing. And I'm going to bring them on right here, right now. And right here, right now, we have Kristina and Herb Heagh-Avritt right here, right now. Welcome, welcome. You got a little, is that a puppy?
Yeah, she doesn't like it when we talk on camera. She tends to like get up in my face, gets all excited about it. So kind of interesting.
That's what they like doing. I have to close the door, or else I'd have my cats doing the same thing. So what was that? A little lab, a little black lab?
Yeah, she's a Patterdale Terrier Poodle mix.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. All right. I
4 years
can.
old. She's
Yeah.
not a
Oh,
puppy.
not a puppy.
She's full grown.
She's full grown. She's not gonna
Oh,
get
wow.
any.
All right. Then so yeah. Yeah, always good to have a little dog running around. It's nothing really beats that. You can't beat not having a dog going, and especially one that likes to hang out and you know.
Forms wonderful calming effects as well. So it's both of our doctors recommended we get dogs. So we got little snuggle dogs. She's a
Yeah.
terrier though, so she's a lot more active, not necessarily a snuggle dog, but she still likes to snuggle once in a while.
The other dog, a snuggle dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's scared of her.
Oh, that'll do it. I had a couple goats. I made them snuggle goats. Um, you know, any dog or any animal can be a snuggle animal if you want it to be almost.
Yeah.
Maybe not every animal, yeah, but we'll find out. So so I've had Herb on before, and Christina is new, but uh I believe you both had messaged me separately. I don't know. I don't think it was before. I think I don't know. Maybe it was after Herb was on the show.
Yeah,
Or
it was
you-
after. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
we started talking a little bit about the vision for the school and things like that. And he's like, you know what, you might want to talk to both of us and we can talk fully about the school and the family development and things that we do. Mhm.
And so yeah, I mean it's important. I mean, especially with and you're in Oregon,
Mhm.
and Oregon could use some help in that category, to put it lightly. I was talking about it yesterday with someone who was from she's in Texas now, but I was talking about the uh, requirements for high school, with not having to be able to
Read.
pass, yeah, be able to read or write or do math and still advance to the next grade.
I'm not sure
Uh,
what it's been for the last 2 years, but the last year she was in school, um, she was in elementary school, so not our fault, but the some of our local high schools had less than a 50% graduation rate out of high school. So less than half of the kids who were going into their senior year were graduating. And as an epidemic across the whole United States, people over the age of 18 throughout the thing have I think it's like 40% of them can read above a 6th grade level. So over half of the people in the United States currently can't read above a 6th grade level.
One of the most recent stats I got from the Department of Education, so nationwide, is that 46% of our 4th graders cannot read at reading level. That's huge. And that
at a
is
4th grade reading level.
4th grade. 4th graders cannot read at their reading level at
And as
that grade.
As a foundational principle, if you get that far behind, then the way our school system works now with you have to be on this page on this day, you have to be on this test on this day. And if you get behind, it's your responsibility to catch up. These kids aren't ever going to catch up. There's no incentive for the teachers to go back and try and teach them how to read. And parents are so far removed from the school system now, kind of on purpose, because the teachers won't tell them stuff. They don't send notes home. They're pushing the parents out of school because they don't want them to know what they're doing to their kids. So the parents don't know how far their kids are behind. And then when they do find out, they go, oh, it's your responsibility to go do this. And they're like, how?
Go find a tutor, go find some outside help, go do whatever you need to do to get your child caught up, because it won't happen inside the school, even though they say they're working on it.
Whoa. And so that's absolutely mind-blowing. And yeah, there's a lot of disconnect, and then having to hire a tutor is, I mean, that's money out of anyone's pocket, and tutors don't come cheap for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's some that maybe work with some families, but for the most part, I assume that it's probably pretty
Christina,
pricey. And that
doing tutoring as well. So we are
Part-time.
tutoring part-time students who are in the school and are falling behind. But if at that point, if you're going to be putting out that kind of money, you might as well take them out of school and start the process on your own. They're going to get caught up quicker. They're going to do better. Colleges are looking for homeschooled kids because they have higher graduation rates. They have higher participation rates. The kids actually know how to write sentences and know how to read.
And they come with skills because they've been living life instead of sitting in school.
I mean, I listened to Dr. Jordan Peterson a lot, and one of his complaints was he was having to teach college kids how to write sentences. And that was Canada, and it's way worse here.
Yeah, I have a friend, and I think right now she's at a conference that he's speaking in Salt Lake City right now. And yeah, we were talking about that. I saw him on a podcast probably 3 weeks ago talking about all the stuff that's going on with him on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and that was really interesting.
On his podcast last week, he was talking to Oliver Anthony, and in that conversation, it's like I brought that to her, and it's like, you need to clip this out and make a clip, because Jordan Peterson was talking about the Western education model was created in the 1800s by I believe he said the Prussian army, and they were a Marxist army. And the model wasn't designed to educate people. It was designed to turn people into obedient workers. So the education system is not designed to improve our children, to help them along. It's designed to make them docile workers.
Yeah, I believe it was the Rockefellers or some other name like the Rockefellers that really pushed for a lot of this type of schooling, because it takes to like fully indoctrinate someone takes, I believe, 12 years to fully indoctrinate somebody. And then with that, yeah, the 8 hours a day, 5 days a week is the same amount of, get them to be good workers. And that's what eventually turns into the work, and the old saying of, um, smart enough to work, but dumb enough not to ask questions about it.
And part of the
That's
problem,
sucks.
and then the extended part of the problem is those 9 to 5 jobs, those kind of manufacturing jobs, those jobs that our education system was designed to create the workers for. Those jobs aren't really here anymore. Those
They're
jobs
long gone.
sourced and shipped off. And so they're educating people to have a specific kind of a job, and then they're taking all of those jobs out of the United States. So you get out of school and you don't have any practical skills or work experience or
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
to do anything.
And so then, you were teaching in school? Were you a teacher, and what
Yes.
grade?
Yeah, I was a teacher for 27 years, and I mostly taught second and third grade, but through my career, I taught kindergarten through fifth grade. So I have a full range of experience. The last 2 years I was teaching in the online school from our school district. And even though it happened during COVID, it wasn't a COVID school. It was an actual school curriculum set up for online. And these were for our medically fragile kids, our behavior kids who couldn't be in the classroom, or for those who needed more flexibility, like they were high-end sports kids, so they were off traveling to conferences and competitions and stuff all the time. So this was a school that was inside of our school district for those kinds of kids. And whenever I went to that school, it opened my eyes to a little bit more. So a lot of public teachers are like, oh no, can't homeschool's horrible, and all of this kind of stuff. But once you really start looking at it deeper, and like I said, I've had a change of heart, I've opened my eyes, I know, especially where we are right now, that it needs to be in the hands of the families. The families need to be the ones in charge. Now, granted, just like any business or any endeavor you go on, you should have a coach, you should have somebody who helps you along when you get stuck, but the parents should be in charge, and then they should get either tutoring help or co-op help or a coach help, kind of like me, to help move that process along so they don't get stuck and they really can make it the best for their kids.
And one of the impetuses for us getting out of the school district and into this is there were some parents in her school that ran with this program, and their kids showed up on the fun times, but all of the curricular was all handled by the parents. They were off and running. They were doing stuff with their kids. They showed up for the fun stuff. And half of the parents,
the community, basically.
Yeah, the other half of the parents were like, we're expecting it to be like public school, and she just teach them and do it. And that did work. But the parents who ran with it would come and ask questions, get a little coaching, get a little ideas, and then their kids like jumped levels and levels. So they might have been in it for an academic reason, but by the time they got out of the first year, they were like 2 or 3 years farther along. And so the ability, and because the kids start to love learning, they get to start working on things that they want. They working when it's appropriate, and they're not surrounded by trauma-inducing attitudes from people who don't want to be there, because kids don't want to be in school. Lots of them are unhappy. There's problem kids in school. And so even if the kid loves learning in that environment, it's hard to be able to focus and to get that learning that is valuable to you.
Yeah, and I mean, I was probably one of those kids that was distracting everybody. I hated being there, and I mean, I would have rather have been doing anything else. But that didn't stop me from wanting to learn. I wanted to learn stuff, but what I was learning there wasn't anything that interests me, or
and there's a lot of parents like you, and they think, well, I didn't do well in school, so who am I to teach my kids, right? You are the perfect person, because you know that school failed you. You know that school didn't work for you. You know that even though you wanted to learn, it wasn't happening and it wasn't the right environment for you, right? So if you have kids, they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. why do you think your kids will have a way better time, a much better learning experience than you did?
I know why. Because the schools have gotten so much better.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
no, I have to put a major disclaimer in here because I absolutely love my teaching partners, right? There are so many good teachers in there who really do have a super big heart, who really want to do the right thing. But there's been so many things that have happened that they can't, they can't do the curriculum that they know will engage the kids because they're told you have to teach this reading curriculum, right? They know that they used to engage kids in all these different kinds of projects, but now they're told, oh no, you have to be on this page at this day on this week of the school year. There's so many tests and things. So, yes, the system is a mess. Are there good teachers in there? Are there good people in there? Yes, there are. So if you find a good one, praise them, love them, everything.
But also know that
But
their hands
stand
are
up-
also tied behind their
Yeah.
back as well.
Stand up to the ones who aren't doing a good job.
how do you get them to leave the school and get into doing something more like you're doing? Is that kind of the goal of what you would like an ideal situation?
Yeah, Vibrant Family Education is built for helping those parents who want to transition. So what I learned, like I said,
That's a buzzword now. Who want to get their kids out of school.
out of school, yes, change
Right.
that. Move them to a different education system. There we go. Yeah. No, Vibrant Family Education is built for helping those parents who want to explore and learn and probably ultimately go there. So like I said, like those like you who I probably can't do it because I wasn't good in school. We're giving them the stability, the support to help them do it, right? So they work at Vibrant Family Education with us. I, as a teacher, help fill in the holes, help talk about routines and schedules and learning styles and how to really develop the program around the child that you have at home and
Yeah.
your work schedule, things like that.
And we also have an online curriculum as well. So we can help with your kids with the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic. So those are the big three that parents are the most afraid of, right? Because reading and writing is like, how do you teach that? Math, it's like, we've never used it. Why do we have to keep, so those are the three big ones. We have an online curriculum that we can set up with your kid. If you run into issues, you come talk to us, but we can step them through that and help them with that. So it's not, we just coach and you do it all. There is so much that we can do. We can set up curriculums, but then we also coach with how to get your kids properly socialized. How do you can take them to events. You can start doing food banks. If you want to get into civics, when you go to history, you can actually go to the historical locations as a field trip with a family and take a vacation and still do your school at the same time. When you go to a ball game, you can start talking about math. You can start talking, if your kid's into fashion, you could still take them to a ball game and start talking about the functionality of the uniforms and the designs of the uniforms. So there are so many ways to bring your child's enthusiasm for what they want to do into everyday life. And even more practical, they're home all the time. So you start teaching them and bringing them into the kitchen. You start teaching them and bringing them into the chores and the work.
Cleaning routines.
You teach them how to change a tire, to cook a meal, so they have life skills. So many houses now today, if you go into like a 5 or a 6-year-old house with a young couple, you can walk into the kitchen and the oven is brand new and has never been used.
Still has the plastic on it.
Right.
Because they don't cook.
Because they don't know how to cook. So
hop on the DoorDash.
Right.
Have someone bring it to them.
Yeah, so now that you're home together and making this happen, then let's learn to cook a little bit too, so that you have skills for after.
And so it's not just an easy thing. It's not just something you say, hey, you're going to have to do this now. There's learning, there's coaching, there's ways to go at it. There's communication that needs to be relearned. And so it's education, but it's also family development, because we approach the whole family to bring it all together.
And so if a kid is going to be home all day, like if the parents work at a 9 to 5, how does that kind of work out with that? Because I mean, it seems that during the day, most of going to school is
babysitting.
free babysitting.
Exactly.
So how does that work if the if the parents work in a 9 to 5 job? What's the best approach for that?
So one of the if you're doing that and they're not going to go to school, you're going to have some kind of childcare, whether they're staying with grandma and grandpa, or they have a nanny, or they, have another small play group that they're with, or something like that. Lots of times those people can also be what we call the learning coaches. So they will be the ones who will be able to kind of take care of that academic through the online curriculum with your child while they're there. And then when you're home together after that, then you get to explore and keep building on all of the family things that we were just talking about, the games, the cooking, all those kinds of things that help build, right? But the other thing is that because the curriculum is flexible, guess what? It can be done in the evenings or weekends with you if you really want to be the one that does it. And then you can have that childcare wherever they are, do those other things, take them on trips to help them build projects and things like that. So it can work. It is more difficult, but it can work if you're truly invested in making a change for your child.
And grandmas and grandpas and older siblings make really good learning coaches as well. There were some people who were 9 to 5 workers, and their parents were watching their kids, and they were the educators for that family,
because they knew they could come and talk to me if they got stuck, right? Oh, I don't quite understand what this lesson is teaching. Awesome. Bring them in for coaching hours, bring them in for tutoring. I'll help you through that stuck part, and then we'll continue moving on.
And some people with 9 to 5s have like really high-end jobs, and they have nannies to take care of their kids. Nannies make great educators too, because they're with the kids, they understand the routine, and it's just moving it another into it. So yeah, it works really well. So there's lots of options for that.
And so what's kind of the goal for this? Would this be to get kids, would this be to get them to graduate through your program, or what, through whatever the alternative school would be, or would that and eventually go to college, or would this be to get them to, but then, I mean, what good is college, or would it be better? I mean, how do we get to college?
I gotta say
something like this.
College becomes a lot more nuanced at this point, because at this point, there's so many kids going into entrepreneurship in their teens. They're learning life skills, they're getting jobs, they're doing it. And so when it's time for college, we've even actually had people on our podcast who talk about how to start working on scholarships at an early age. And both of her daughters went to a major 4-year college, and they were paid to do so because of the scholarships and the financial aid that they got along the way.
That's great.
Without big debt. They didn't come out with big debt. They were actually able to take a chunk of money at the end and apply it towards something else. They had enough scholarships and stuff to do that. So to answer your question though, yes, but when you're working with Vibrant Family Education, you're considered a homeschooler. And so when you homeschool, the end of the program is a little bit different. Yes, they graduate. Yes, they have their credentials. Well, not credentials, but they have their graduation from homeschool, right? And there's all the different ways that you make sure that that's set up, tracked, the classes, things like that. So if the child does want to go to college, they're still eligible for scholarships. They're still eligible to get to college and enroll in college. And like we said earlier, many colleges are starting to look for homeschool kids because they have the skills. They can perform on their own. They don't have somebody there leading them down the path.
They don't have to have their college professors don't become a babysitter from 18 to 22.
Right. They can do work and really makes sense. But like the other thing that Herb was saying is Vibrant Family really opens the eyes for the families of, does your child really need to go to college?
And if they do, my turn. You go.
If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, certain licenses, you have to have a college degree, right? Absolutely. These kids are ready to go and they will know how to get in there and get that done. But those that are like, no, I want to go to the trades because I found out that I really love plumbing when I was exploring A, B, or C, right? Or I really want woodworking. Yeah, carpentry, etc. Then they go to those either trade schools or those 2-year associate schools, and then they move on because a lot of them, like he was saying, they already have the beginning of their business started because they've already been working on it. So it just really opens the eyes of the family of what is best for your child, what's best for your pocketbook. You're not paying for a college degree that's not going to be used, right?
Right. And
We also move into a very much an entrepreneurial model where if you want to learn something, you go find that subject and you get coaching and education on that subject. And if you do go to college, say you're in business, it's like, I want to learn this. And you go take a couple of classes because you know that degree isn't necessarily going to be what you need. You just need specific classes. So it can change the way you go to college. So instead of just a general, I'm going to go for 4 years, I'm specifically going to this that's going to help me what I already am doing and get farther in that. So it makes children a little more focused and understanding where their future is and able to start moving towards it sooner.
yeah, and I mean, what I was doing when I was 17, I can't even say entrepreneurial wise, was what I was doing in my 40s. And I mean, I wish I would have, had that and just been able to work on that rather than, finding ways that I could get out of doing everything else so I could have more time to do this, finding ways, because like the money, this, don't take this the wrong way, but the money that I was making doing that, I was using to either A, pay people to do my work, or B, pay some of my teachers off to give me grades to not have to show up.
Uh-huh.
And this was a while ago, and I don't know if these teachers are still. I believe they're all retired now, but I mean, I learned that, yeah, there was, some other ways to do everything.
The
Yeah,
education you got outside of school was way better than the education you got in school. So, and again,
right.
that's kind of what we figured out, and that's what we're trying to help parents realize and understand.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm all for it. And there's always ways to learn other skills, I mean, anything you want to know now, it's out there. I mean, it was a lot harder when we were kids and growing up trying to learn stuff that was outside of what was in school. But I mean, now, you can find how to do anything. I mean, YouTube can probably teach most anything you need to learn how to know how to do to have some sort of, you know, entrepreneurial, position of sorts, or, just if you're hyper fixated on one, maybe like, I'm just looking outside, knowing how to do work on cars, or how to, cut grass in a certain way, or, whatever it may be. There's so much out there of different ways of learning how to do it, different, all different styles of how people like to do it, what they can do with it. And I mean, learning is so important, and having it crushed by a broken system. And also, so this woman I was talking with yesterday on my show, I mean, she was saying that, like, once they're past grade school, I mean, they're if you're not catching them at grade school, they're just able to kind of float away. And so, I mean, and on my other podcast, that I host with my co-host Casey, like, we talk about just, I mean, the whole education system just needs an overhaul, and it's a big overhaul. Any and most every idea is better than what's going on with the schooling. And it's just, I think, getting rid of some of the stigmas around it.
But another one of the big stigmas is that homeschool kids are awkward and weird. And 40 years ago, that was true, because they were the homesteaders, they were the pioneers, and they were the outcasts. They did it because this wasn't working and they kept their kids separate. But nowadays, It's actually the opposite. Homeschool kids, if you take them into a room full of adults, they feel comfortable talking to adults. They can move in circles. If you take a bunch of kids out of a normal grade school right now and try and have them talk to adults, the adults are going to have no way to communicate, because
They
what's
would all hide behind
happening
their parents.
is so
Right.
different. But these kids that are homeschooled with the access to the parents, with the ways to socialize, with the going
multi-level group. So if you're using like a co-op or something, you have kids of all different ages in that course, in that grade, that whatever project that they're working on. So they're learning how to talk to older and younger and back and forth. When you do your civics, when you take them to the food bank or a church function or something like that, they're working with high school or adult type people. So they're learning how to communicate with them as well.
And
so
when
that
you're
socialization is so much different when you have those opportunities put in front of you.
and they're getting socialized in their dance classes or their swim classes or their kickbox classes. And the difference between those classes and the one at school is when you go to a dance class, all the kids pretty much want to be there, and they're all working towards the same goal, and they're happy to be there. And that kind of environment is going to be different than sending your kid to a classroom where nobody wants to be there, and they bug and they fight. They go to a sports club and they're working together with other people on the same goal to a thing, and they're not like just, oh, these are kids that had to do this from school. So you are with students that are working towards a common goal in cooperation, and that kind of cooperative environment just allows kids to thrive and grow.
One of the greatest examples we've seen of this right now is the robotics teams. If you start watching the robotics competitions and stuff, you can see the varied kids who are part of that team working together, striving, working late hours. You know, they're really motivated to get it done because one is something they're passionate about, and two, they're with a group that they want to work with. So,
and in the competitions, when they get to the big competitions with thousands of kids, they're cheering on each other.
Yeah.
They're cheering on their competition. They're like, wow, that stuff is amazing. You guys are awesome. And you just don't get that anywhere else.
Wanting to see everyone do better to make them, you know, be able to strive to do better and be able to take some of their innovations and be able to put it into their, you know, whatever they're working on and be able to use that. And seems, like a good thing all around. And I mean, I don't know. I think anything right now with what you're doing is going to be, you know, at least tenfold better than what's going on. And I hope that, so, I mean, you can't go into a school or, you know, hang outside the school from behind the fence and, you know, start yelling at people, hey, come over here and come get a good education. What kind of ways are you kind of going about to seek people out, or are there, you know, kids that are having difficulty in school that are getting, you know, is that when the parents start wondering what can be done differently and then searching out?
So shows like yours, podcasts that we've been on, are one of the biggest ways that we're getting out there and letting people know, that parents know that there are changes available. There are different choices available, right? And then, of course, I am working locally. So like Herb said, I'm tutoring part-time. But again, I'm at night, I'm running parenting, or at one night a week, I'm doing a parenting course where I have parents come in and talk to me about what's going on with their child in the education, things like that. I'm offering that every single week. So again, I'm reaching out to people that way. But just basically right now is a lot of word of mouth. You know, and of course we have our website and things like that, vibrantfamilyeducation.com. The other way we are doing it though is that we also have a podcast called Bringing Education Home. And during that podcast, we're introducing you to some of those people that we were also talking about. So like the debt-free college lady, she's on our podcast. We've talked to brain scientists, really helping parents think, oh, how does my child's brain maybe work differently, right? We've talked to nutritionists because nutrition and food is so important in your child's learning and growth and development, how your family feels. So we're bringing those kinds of people onto our podcast to share and again get the word out that there are changes possible and there are different ways of educating your child.
And we are also in other ways walking our talk. So one of the things that we're talking about is people aren't necessarily great at education, so you could get a coach. We're great at education. She is an amazing teacher, but we are not so great at marketing. And we are not so great at the businessy aspect of this. So we have a business coach as well, and we have a couple. We're in some business groups, and so we are learning a lot and taking on our own attempts at marketing. And so there's still some learning curves there. And as we get better at marketing, our school will also grow. But you know, so we're learning on our own, and we are hiring coaches. So that's what you do. So if you're new into education and you want some help, you hire a coach. And you know, some people go, oh well, I'll just send them to a private school instead. You know, what's going on right now is even in Christian private schools, they still are coming from universities that are woke. So even up to 60% of teachers, even in Christian Catholic schools, are still of the woke variety. If you get into the STEM topics, it's only like 15 to 20%, but STEM is going away really, really fast because they don't want, well, I can't really say that. Like,
well, we can fill in the blanks.
Right.
And and I mean, and then also with what you were saying, going back to the nutrition of the crap that I had at school was, I mean, it was ridiculous. It was horrible. I mean, just the quality of stuff. And then even for a while, I was the cook at a Montessori school, and the food there was absolute garbage. And I even, said like, it would be great, like, this is a Montessori school, you can do something different, you can like get, local stuff. Like, oh no, the kids, they like this crap, and the parents like this crap, they don't want to do anything else. And I mean, just and then you see the kids and they're, lethargic, and
because their blood sugars go like this. You pump them full of carbohydrates and stuff, and their blood sugars go up, and then they have that crash, and then they just can't do it. So
if you look at like the CDC guidelines for the amount of sugar that a pregnant woman is supposed to have in a day, and then you look at one of those pints of chocolate milk and how much sugar is in 1 pint of chocolate milk, they're getting like 4 times the amount of sugar that a pregnant woman needs for a whole day to support her and her child in 1 carton of milk.
And they're doing it every day.
And their snacks, and it's just ridiculous how disadvantaged they make their kids on the nutrition. They pump them full of sugar and poisons and garbage, and then expect them to sit still in a classroom. That's crazy.
And then they're not learning anything about, they're just seeing that everything's just coming from, the cafeteria. They're not learning where any of this stuff's coming from. This is just food to them, and it's not, taking time going to the grocery store and learning how an oven works, how a stove works, how to pick out stuff to have some sort of
Oregon used to have
diet.
outdoor school, and when we were a kid, it was like you went somewhere for a week. It was like a camp, and then it got to 3 days, and then the last couple of years it was like an overnight trip to the coast, and now they don't even have outdoor school anymore.
No, they brought it back.
They did bring it back.
Brought it back.
Okay. I went to Camp Adams, which I do not remember where that was in the state. I want to say it was somewhere
more Central Oregon.
Maybe.
Mount Adams.
Adams in Oregon?
No, not Mount Adams. It was called Camp Adams. Let's see, Camp Adams Outdoor School.
Yes. Yeah, I was probably there myself at one point.
So it's out near Imolala.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's where I went back then. And it was cool. It was a whole week, and a lot of fun. And then I'm glad that they're bringing that back. 'Cause that's important too, to be able to do that, especially now with so many kids just not going outside or needing to know, put them outside in the middle of somewhere and have them, I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can put them out in the middle of, even if you're in Malala, put them out in Malala and try to get them to downtown Portland and see if how many of them could even get there, or how to get to there, or what they would do to get to there.
Well, not in the schools, but as part of Vibrant Family Education, you could have that challenge, because you could train your kids, you could work with your kids to know what to do, and then let's see how it happens, unfolds, right?
Yeah, and I think that would be great, and I think that we need a lot more of that, and I'm happy that you two are doing that, and just you being able to change the norm that's failing, but not a lot of people want to do anything about it. And just like, well, it sucks. Okay, well, what are you going to do about it? And so that you're doing something about it, and you've been able to give people a positive look on education, and not just, well, they're going to just turn out a bunch of dummies here, and this is what our kids are going to be, and just leave it at that. And so I appreciate that you're doing something and making learning something that is enjoyable and beneficial to their everything, their lives in the future. And it's not just learning stuff to take a test to forget it. How many things I've had like that, where it's just learn it for until the next morning, and then just let it go out of your head, and it's gone. And there's so much of that I learned that I felt that's what it was. And what's that going to do in life? It teach you how to learn something for a minute, learn how to take a test well, and then just
Let it
don't
go.
use it later. Yeah.
Happy, healthy, successful kids that will impact all of our futures, because our kids are our futures. If we don't help them now, we're going to have a major problem. And a lot of people talk about trauma and depression and anxiety. These kids wouldn't have it if they had a more fulfilling education experience, basically fulfilling the whole child, their emotion, their spirit, their body, and their academics all together. So Vibrant Families on a mission to help that whole child grow and develop.
Yeah, and once they get that love of education, they realize that it doesn't stop at 18.
Yeah.
Most kids is like, I can't wait till I get 18, get out of school, and then I don't ever have to learn anything again. And so many of them, that actually happens. And then you can see that they're just 18 for the rest of their life, no matter how old they are. But when you get this, when you teach them how to learn, when you teach them how to, I can get this information this way and I can make myself better, and empower them, then they become lifelong learners. They're always, what can I do next? What's the next thing? How can I make this better? Ooh, I love doing this. What else can I learn about it? And without that kind of a background of knowing how to do that in the first place, they just stay children forever.
Yeah. And so how are people going to find you? You talked about it a little bit, but if you just want to reiterate that. And
the best way is vibrantfamilyeducation.com to go there, or come listen to our podcast, Bringing Education Home. So between those two things, you will find all of our contact information that will get you to us to have a conversation or find out more about the program.
Yeah, and there's a link on the webpage. You can set up a call, 30 minutes. We can talk about where you're at, what you're looking to do. The first one is free, and we can help you figure out if this is right for you, or what you can do. Or so there, it's not like if you call us, it's like, come work with us. It's, hey, where are you at? What do you need? What's going on? Because if we pull people into our system that don't want to work with us, then that takes away from the people who do. So we're not high pressure. We're not trying to pull people in against their will. So if you just have any sort of questions, if you just want to learn something, if you want to see if it's even possible for you, then give us a call.
Excellent. Well, yeah, Kristina and Herb, thank you so much. Great talking with you. Nice meeting you, Kristina. And I enjoyed this conversation, and anything that's going to shake up the school, anything right now, I'm happy to get out into the world, because it's something that I feel is very much needed and very important. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, I hope you two have a great rest of your day. All right.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us here. It's been a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
talking with you again.
Absolutely. All right. That's Kristina and Herb Heagh-Avritt with the Vibrant Family Education. So I'll put the stuff in the links. I like them. I got a real cool talk with her maybe, I don't know, 3 months ago or so. Go back and check that one out. That's a fun conversation too. So thank you everyone so much for being here and listening and checking out the show, and get your kids out of school. If you have kids, get them out of school right now and do this. Do something like this. Unless they just love school and you think they're doing great and that's the way they learn, great, keep them in there. Otherwise, get them out. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. That stuff sucks. School system sucks, especially if you're in Oregon. Like I was saying earlier, you don't have to be proficient in math, reading, or writing to be able to advance to the next grade or even to graduate. The graduation numbers were below 50%. How do you get those up? You make it so everybody gets to go and graduate by not having to do stuff. You dumb it down. Don't dumb it down. Teach them, make them worthwhile. There's something that they're going to like to learn. There's something everybody likes to learn. Doesn't have to be bullshit. I believe that was either Gandhi or Confucius that said that. So thank you guys so much for listening. And that is the show. Man, boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest! Ernest! Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?